definitely learned about how, you're responsible for everything and not just, as an employee, you go in, you clean, you make food, you stock. I didn't really know this. And then down the line, they started getting greedy and they were taking more commission, like more than 60%. And they were telling us it was only 40. So they were doing marketing stuff or something at our expense without our consent. And I found that out through an employee of theirs. Well, because we're part of a community. It's not just like, oh, we're here to make money. They cut expenses by putting in hours as an employee, but they don't know that if you want to achieve like real success or some kind of financial, significance, then you need to.
What's happening, everybody? I am here in San Mateo outside Avocado Toast, and I'm about to interview the owner, Emile. We're going to talk about his story and how it all led to him opening up one of the most well sought after food establishments here in San Mateo. Let's check it out. Emile, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to do this today. I really do appreciate it. You grew up in the restaurant world with your dad.
Yep.
What did you learn from those early days?
What I didn't learn was how to be an employee. So, I was born into a business ownership family. And so I knew how to kind of manage and maintain a business.
Sure.
So all the responsibility was, kind of ours. And that's what I was learning. And then, I got a little bit older and realized that people don't really treat business that way as employees.
Yeah.
And, you learn that the hard way. And then, I was an employee myself. So that kind of took me, I went that route as well. Okay. So like I was kind of like, I was a kid when I had my first job. So outside of my family business. So my dad actually bought a car dealership in 2006 and that's when I stopped working for him. I went to go find a restaurant job so I could stay in the food industry. Yeah. And so that was probably like the one interview I've ever done my whole life in terms of job interviews.
Wow.
Because other than that, I've been in management or business ownership or some kind of partnership.
Okay.
And so I don't have very savvy interview skills like we're doing now, but I will definitely try my best. But so definitely learned about how, you're responsible for everything and not just, as an employee, you go in, you clean, you make food, you stock. Yeah. And those are like the basic stuff that most people are aware of. But, I didn't really know this as a young,
So you weren't necessarily like, when you were younger, it was just more like you were kind of thrown into it, but you weren't necessarily taught how to actually like run a business as an entrepreneur. It was just more run a business as an employee.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I knew how to make sure that the whole business was taken care of, just not the back end stuff. Sure. I didn't know how to do the paperwork. I didn't know how to do the what is it, the permits that you need, all that stuff. I didn't realize the headache, the overhead going into it, but it was all I knew.
Yeah.
Because that was all I was around.
Okay.
So I was like, I figured this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And, things changed over the years, but
of course.
I'm definitely still learning. Yeah, there's still something new every day, new problems every day. And of course, you can't have solutions without problems. So
Yeah, for sure. And like, what age were you when this all started for you?
Oh, I mean, I was maybe 10, 11 years old, taking Bart from Millbrae to Oakland to help with the coffee shop and the grill, taqueria. We had a few things in like a little, the city center in Oakland. So,
so it all started in Oakland.
Yeah. So during the summer as a kid in between school, I would go help my parents because they were working. So if they were working, then who's going to watch me? I'm going to go to work.
Yeah, you're going to go work with your parents.
And like now, if my wife is busy or, she's got something to do, I take my son with me. He's only 5 months old.
Sure.
But I don't have to like work as much as my parents did because they did everything. Okay. And I'm kind of trying to figure out how to let the business run itself so I can manage more things outside of the operation, because operations not everything in a business. You have to do scaling and you have to do logistics. You have to do things that my parents didn't really know or teach me. Okay. They never scaled. They never achieved scale and a blueprint.
So they were just like, when they ran a business, they were more like employees of their restaurant.
Yeah, they
and
bought
you were
the job.
also an employee, but you didn't know how to like, okay, I need the back end stuff to learn how to like do this as an entrepreneur side. Like let the employees run it. Well, I can take some time away. Basically,
Exactly.
is what. Okay,
Yeah.
understood.
So they basically they cut expenses by putting in hours as an employee,
Yeah.
but they don't know that if you want to achieve like real success or some kind of financial, significance,
Yeah.
then you need to, put more time and more, money into something
Yeah.
for it to come back to you. It's like the law of sowing and reaping,
Yeah.
so things like that is something I never really saw until I got the job after my dad left the food industry, and I don't know if you know Grapevine in
Yeah, I know
Burlingame.
Grapevine. Yeah.
I worked with Grapevine in San Rafael because we lived in Marin County.
Okay.
So when I was there, I helped them open up the Santa Rosa location. I was managing that as a supervisor because I was still like 18, 19.
Okay.
So they didn't want too much responsibility for me in terms of, I guess, for legal purposes or liability purposes, because I didn't know what I was doing, but I was responsible. I was always showing up. I was opening and closing like an owner.
Yeah.
So they trusted me with their employee and their establishment. And I learned a lot more in terms of the back end stuff of how to do the reports, how to do, manage the register properly, how to make a schedule. I learned that from someone else, not my parents. My parents didn't do that stuff. They're just like, you're supposed to show up. Like they had employees that worked every day too.
Okay.
And they had like certain days off.
Yeah.
But when you work with like a bigger organization, there's more employees you have to manage. You have to figure out how to do the payroll, things like that. I didn't know any of that with my parents. So I have to learn that outside and apply it here, and then also apply some of the stuff my parents taught me.
Yeah.
But then
You're getting a mix of like both worlds here.
that's the goal.
Yeah, like at the beginning, it was just more about how to be an employee and kind of like run the front end stuff.
Yep.
And then as you got into Grapevine, it was just more about the back end stuff and actually managing people and all that kind of
Exactly.
stuff.
So
That's
there was-
amazing. Yeah. So with Avocado Toast, you opened that with your dad? Is
Yeah,
that
so
correct?
he actually opened it up in 2017 with his business partner. I actually had a coffee shop kiosk in Santa Clara.
Okay.
So he told me to sell that and help him out at Avocado Toast.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, I'll do that, thinking like the goal was to work together.
Sure.
And I was like happy to do it. And then, eventually I bought his business partner out. So my dad and I were 50-50 partners.
Oh, well, okay.
And then about a year later, I was doing like work so I could give him a day off and give him a break. That was my goal.
I understand that.
So that was, I want to make sure he's getting old. So I got to
Yeah.
make sure he doesn't work too hard. And, by the time I was working full time, 7 days a week, he bought another restaurant. So I was like, I can't give you a day off now. Like I don't know, there's nothing that I can do right now. My hands are tied. So I was just managing this one. So when we first opened up Avocado Toast, like I think one of the questions, what was the vision for it? And my vision was different than my dad's, because he wanted me to come along so I could run it. And I was coming along because I wanted to work with my dad. Like I thought it was like, oh, great, we're going to work as a family again, because we haven't done that in a while since I was a kid. And so it was kind of like, I didn't realize what was going to happen. Like he just did it. He's not a very communicative person. They're old school. They do what they think needs to be done.
Yeah.
And then they'll maybe explain later, but they don't be like, they're not asking for permission. He's the parent. So it is what it is. And I have to deal with it and I have to figure, things out.
So you're about a year into owning Avocado Toast. Now, was this location?
Yes.
Right? Yeah, okay, here. And then it was about a year in, did you say? And then you were just kind of like left up to kind of like run this business by yourself. Is that correct?
Yeah. So 2017, he and his partner opened. Beginning of 2019, I bought his partner out, paid it off that year.
Yes.
But at the end of the year, he bought another restaurant, December 2019. So 2020, right before COVID, I was all on my own. Like, first time running my own operation by myself. And,
Wow.
I was opening and closing every single day. Like, the one thing I did different than my dad, because he's the one who, he took on all the responsibility. So he was the one opening and closing. But I was like, I don't want to live like that. There's no life if you're doing that. So I gave all my employees keys, which he didn't really agree with, but the business ran better and built trust between, the people I'm working with and who trust me to, give them the opportunity of a job security. So I did things a little bit differently, which I was always afraid to do. Like I never did anything that I wasn't told to do because I didn't have any experience. So I guess, I was just, I was always reserved in terms of making changes or making moves or, things like that. And once that kind of worked out and it, in my favor, like it didn't cost anything to help them out or like basically build like more of a connection with my employees.
Sure.
because they see the employees as employees and that's it. But I see them more as like a family. Because if you work
That's
with
amazing,
someone
yeah.
every single day and you treat them like they're just supposed to be there and that's it. Like you don't understand where they're coming from. They have lives, they have other responsibilities, they have things outside of what you're doing. So if you don't connect on another level outside of work, it kind of doesn't really work together. Like there has to be a connection. So
Yeah, I mean, with employees and stuff, it's very important to understand that they have like, you know, their own values. You know, they have a certain way of like doing things, and the best way, if they feel like they're going against the grain, for instance, then it's like it's not going to work out all too well. So as a business owner, you're more not necessarily a boss, for instance, you're more of a leader, someone that they can look up to. You know, because you give them the opportunity, and of course, the most important thing here is trust. So you gave them the keys. That's just like number one. That was the kind of like those keys. That's metaphorically speaking, allowed them to open up the doors to, you know, trusting you in some form of way as well.
and of course there's cameras everywhere. So
Yeah.
obviously nothing's gonna happen that they would get away with. But there was still a trust there that I would trust them to go be here on their own. And like you said, yeah, leadership was the key. That's something that they knew how to lead themselves, my parents, but they didn't know how to lead other people. They didn't know how to. There was no. I mean, most of the employees spoke Spanish and my parents spoke Arabic, so English was their second language for both of them, but separately, two different languages. So I mean, even if they had the leadership skill set, the communication wasn't there. Communication is the second biggest thing, or maybe the first biggest thing. But if your goal is leadership,
Communication is
key. Anything
exactly, even in your relationship with your wife, like, you know, if you get one thing that you got to do is communicate. You know, it doesn't matter who you're with, friendships, family, you know, employees. As long as you're communicating correctly, things actually
with
like
your
run
coach.
a lot more smooth. Yeah. Even as a coach, you know, personal trainer working in the industry, if my clients are not communicating with me correctly, I don't know how I'm supposed to lead them towards their goals. So yeah, I'm with you on that. So COVID, I mean, like that, I mean, everybody got it just a bang, but you were left up to this place pretty much on your own throughout COVID to just like run this. Tell me about those, you know, the struggles, the stuff that you went through and how you overcame those struggles to like, even just to keep this place alive today, which is a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, I'm very proud of myself.
Of course, why wouldn't you be? You know, like just going through that alone was obviously something that you felt like, well, this is definitely worth it. I'm able to keep something alive through the worst times, you know, and which gives you that experience that you need, not just in, you know, as a business owner, but also in life as well. So tell me more about the struggles that you went through there, and you know, all the stuff how you were able to overcome all that.
Well, initially COVID wasn't as bad. The struggles hit us a little bit later because down the line, or when it first hit, none of my employees got sick and we were able to stay open for business, but a lot of people were closed down. So we got really busy for the first few months. So our sales like tripled.
Okay,
and
wow.
So we did well in COVID for a while. So it helped me like have a little bit of room for a budget to experiment with other things. Like we're going to talk about like what kind of worked, what didn't work. So signing on with third-party things, seeing what kind of commission stuff was going about, and like new opportunities come because everything is virtual at this point. So there's no like foot traffic because COVID is like, what is it, lockdown or what is it, curfew, things like that. So the first few months were not terrible because we all took care of ourselves. We all wore masks. So we stayed open for business. I don't know if we were allowed to or not, but we didn't close our doors like other people did, but it worked out for us. And then down the line, like a lot of changes were happening. We were like, I didn't know how to deal with it because no one else was dealing. There was no like precedent for how to, how to function during a pandemic, I guess. So
for sure. Yeah, nobody knew what to do.
Yeah,
it was all just open the air for everybody. It's just like, what are we going?
Yep.
It's like, what are we going to do?
But it did like kind of open the door for me to experiment with new things and make some changes and see, I thought because we were doing well, I didn't know what was the cause of it. Doing well, like what was the reason we were, still open and like not struggling as much as other people. Like a lot of places closed down, and there's a lot more places that are opened up that weren't here before COVID.
Yeah.
And a lot of places that were here for like 30 years, and now they're gone. So
you're just at that freestanding restaurant going, we're making it, baby.
I don't know, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah. But you were doing it anyway, and that was when it was motivating, and it was keeping you, it was keeping you getting up in the morning to get out there and keep going, which is great. It's fantastic. So one of the key things that I wanted to talk about, which is like the really important part of your story here, is, your kid, your wife, and you have your kid that just came along. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's huge.
Yeah, 5 months today.
5 months today.
Yep.
Incredible. That's awesome. And I want to talk about that kind of story a bit more. You know, obviously it came to a point where you're just like, okay, I've got my wife, she's now pregnant, you guys are now pregnant, things have to change. All right, business, family, you know, I can't be working in this, you know, avocado toast in this business 7 days a week from start to finish. It's just going to kill my family.
Yeah.
I want you to talk more about that story and what you learned from that, from past behaviors, maybe from like running the business with your dad, and of course, you know, moving into family life. Just give me a little bit more back and forth about that, please.
For sure. Well, first of all, my dad was a great father,
Yeah.
but he worked, and we only got, you know, he was there. Like I have plenty of memories with him. We growing up, he was always around, but I didn't realize until later on that we only had his leftovers, where, you know, it was only late nights or weekends on his days off, things like that. So like a lot of the businesses that we had back in the day when I was younger, and they were my parents were working full time. It was in the financial district in San Francisco, so they would only open 5 days a week, which was good for the family on the weekends. But you know, obviously, I wanted more of a, you know, a lifestyle like that where I could be more present, a present husband, a present father. And that's when, you know, I already knew that, but when my wife was like, I'm ready for a baby, that's when I had to like take action in order to, you know, make those changes so that would be possible. And I didn't have that modeled for me in terms of, you know, my example as a business owner which was my father. So
Yeah.
that's when those first changes you know, I was mentioning, like it made the way for, you know, experimenting with what worked and what didn't work. And so, I mean, luckily we're doing okay now. Like when I was working 7 days a week before I was even married, you know, I was working open to close. You know, the only days off we got was like Thanksgiving when we closed the business, but I wasn't even able to pay myself back then because, you know, we weren't doing well. Like I didn't know what to do. And so after you know, figuring out what worked, what didn't work, now I barely come in, and, you know, I come in when I have to come in, but, you know, so I'm definitely not opening and closing every single day, and I'm able to pay myself a little bit more now. So that works. You know, that's the goal. That's not the goal, but it's heading towards the goal, because obviously, you know, it's not like we have this extravagant life that Avocado Toast is providing. So on a singular level, it's not so bad. But yeah, so yeah, my employees did step up.
Of course, that's what the whole, yeah, which is great. I mean, again, because they stepped up because of the trust that you gave them, you know, and I mean, like you built this from a point you didn't realize where it was going to go to. And then it all just kind of like trickled into where you want it to be. And it just kind of like worked out nicely, which is awesome. So your situation here was basically like your dad, amazing father for sure, but he put a lot of time and effort into being an employee to his business. And you got like, you know, less of his time because of that growing up, which is, you know,
Normal.
yeah,
Exactly, yeah.
normal. My dad's the exact same.
Exactly.
You know, he worked 12 hours days as a taxi man. He, you know, he'd go out to work at like 3 p.m. and then wouldn't get home till like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning every day, just to keep a roof over our heads and food on the table and clothes on the back. And we appreciate that. But I also learned the exact same thing that you're learning here, which is why I'm an entrepreneur today. I want to build something where, you know, my fiance and I, when we want to have a family, we want to make sure that we spend time with us as a family and less time on our business. We will grow that. So that's kind of like where you are with all of this. You've now changed things to make sure that you spend more time with your family and then less time here. And the values behind it. How do you feel about that overall? Like, I mean, just to be able to get to that point in your life, to be able to just go take a step back and do that for your family. I mean, it must be great.
I mean, I'm happy to get to this point. I'm nowhere near feeling as accomplished as I would like to. Obviously, like, you know, when you do have a healthy thought life in terms of your values and you know, what's important. Obviously, money is important. It's just not the most important thing.
What's happening, folks? Thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Just give me 30 seconds of your time and we'll go straight back into the episode. Have you ever found it difficult to find time throughout your busy schedule to work out, or maybe even be consistent with your workouts? Folks, don't worry. That's exactly why I designed the Inner Fire program. The Inner Fire program is a 60-day workout program. You'll do 5 workouts a week, 2 strength, 2 HIIT, and 1 mobility session. Each workout is 30 minutes or less, and you can do it anywhere. You can do it at home, the office if you wanted to, and of course you can do it at the gym. You'll be brought into a community of like-minded individuals who are on the exact same journey as you to help you, inspire you, uplift you, and encourage you to become the best version of yourself. And of course, you'll have the guidance of me, Wayne, as your coach throughout the whole 60 days to be there for you, to hold you accountable. Folks, if this is something that you want to join, please go into the link in the description, click it, and do your first 7 days absolutely free. Now, go and enjoy the episode.
But everyone treats it like it's so important because they all wake up to alarm clocks. They all show up for work even when they're hungover or when they're sick. Like they treat it like it's the most important thing, but it's not.
Okay.
So we have to make changes in, I guess, society, but you know, in terms of our own operations on our day to day, if we don't make those changes, then we're just gonna live for the dollar. So I'm happy where we are right now because I'm able to implement some of the things in terms of where my time goes.
Sure.
Because I could be here all day and cut their hours. Like they trust me because I don't really cut their hours even when we're slow. That's why I wasn't paying myself back then because they all had families and they had bills to pay. I was living on a couch. I didn't have any rent.
That's
I
incredible.
didn't have a family, so like I'm not gonna take away what they need.
Wow, that's amazing.
Provide. So that's a lot of the trust came from that as well.
Yeah, of course.
But now
amazing.
I have a kid, and so like I need to figure out how to take care of myself without hurting them. So the business has to do a little bit better for us to like all thrive.
Okay.
So
yeah. And I mean, looking at things now and the way you kind of like are changing things around here at Avocado Toast to make that happen. What kind of, I mean, you have to get into like the fine details here, but just like, you know, surface level, what kind of changes are you making to make that kind of happen?
Yeah.
You know?
So, I mean, I mentioned everything was pretty much virtual or digital in the start of COVID because there was no foot traffic. So a lot of the companies were taking a lot of commissions. So like DoorDash and Uber Eats, all those third party companies. And then we also signed on for the first time with like a virtual brand company. So they made menus online. So you don't have to pay rent, but you have to pay commission.
Yeah.
So it brought more revenue or traffic virtually, and it was doing well. That's one of the reasons. So one of the reasons was we're the only ones open, and the other one was different, more availability online. So there was that, and then down the line they started getting greedy, I guess, and they were taking more commission, more than 60%, and they were telling us it was only 40. So they were doing marketing stuff or something at our expense without our consent.
Okay.
And I found that out through an employee of theirs who came to see me and started his own thing, which we still work together now because he's very fair about it.
Yeah.
He saw the problem, and I actually left, discontinued that contract, and then soon after found out that they weren't doing well anymore. Like they went on the news and they're like, they like laid off a bunch of people. I don't even know if they're still in business, but like they kind of made terrible decisions in terms of, goodwill, and it didn't work out. So, and that's why I want to kind of keep a good moral,
of course,
value-based, establishment.
And that's what it's all about.
Yep.
Just keeping that values and knowing what your values are in terms of owning, just in general, life in general. If you can apply your values and people who can come into your life to understand your values and vice versa, and you work with those values, things are just so much smoother.
Yeah.
It's just like going with the wind rather than against it, and it makes things a lot better. So I appreciate that. That's really, really good. And in terms of, let's talk about avocado toast then, you describe avocado toast as, I suppose, comfort food. Yeah. What's your, what's that mean for you? What does comfort mean to you?
I mean, if when I taste something good, I feel comfort, I guess. So that's why our menu is so big. Like you go to like a nice restaurant, and there's a chef that has a specific menu, and you can't make any modifications, and the food is delicious. But like some people don't like certain things. Some people like to add things, or everyone has their own appetite or like own flavor, I guess. So I guess the comfort depends on the person. So like some people like chicken, rice, and broccoli. I've never met that person, but
nobody likes chicken, rice, and broccoli.
Okay, maybe not. So I mean, it just depends on like what you actually like, and we kind of provide a very wide variety of options in terms of, and also people with food restrictions.
Yeah.
And so it just being able to eat something that you would enjoy, that's comfort to me.
So Avocado Toast has like a broad range of different kind of, like foods on their menu to cater for most people, with food allergies, as you said, like different dietary preferences and lifestyles. For you, like, I mean, why is that important to you? Well,
because we're part of a community. It's not just like, oh, we're here to make money, or, I mean, we've been in this industry for so long. Like one of the differences between Avocado Toast and the businesses that my parents had were, because it was a financial district in San Francisco and it was a tourist area, there was always just people walking by. So there wasn't like any repeat customers. There wasn't any loyalty to be acquired. So they didn't have that. They didn't have a reason to, practice that. They didn't care. They're just like, oh, this person already paid for the sandwich. Get moving. Doesn't matter what it looks like. For me, I like take a lot longer to make a sandwich, so it looks good. It's like the layers are right. So
That's why you're doing so well. You put time and effort into making sure that this is more than just a food. It's like it's an experience.
exactly.
You want to make sure that you're providing an experience to the community, and of course with your values and stuff like that, people see that and it aligns with them a lot, which is why since we've been sitting down here, so many people have walked through that door, because they do appreciate that, and that's why I'm out here today to reach out, because I saw that story and I wanted to learn more about you and how that brings Avocado Toast to what it is today, So 2 more things. I wanted to talk about how, with the way you're doing business right now, in the future, I mean, you have your son now, and in the future you might have more kids. What kind of values in terms of what you're doing with business today do you want them to learn from you? Because it's like, this is it now. You're breaking the chain here and doing
hopefully and it stays that way.
Doing something a little bit. Now it will. I mean, you have a good mind about you. I believe that it will end up going that way for sure. What about you now? Did you want to teach your kid now or future kids?
Well, first I want to learn as much as possible. So right now I hope to teach him some of the good things that I know that's working out, but when he's old enough to learn some stuff, I want to have actual more solidified success and experience under my belt so that I do have the most to offer him when he is, of age to learn. And you only do that through application and not just just shooting, with a blindfold on, but, actual educated guesses. And, knowledge is not power. It's the application of the correct knowledge, because information is everywhere. So knowledge is less in value because we have so much information in our pockets. So in terms of, I just want to be an example for him. And that's done by doing and not by telling. So if I tell him not to do something, but I'm doing that thing, it's not going to work. He's going to do it. He's going to model what I'm doing.
For sure.
Yeah. So the way I speak to my wife is the way he's going to speak to his mom.
Exactly.
So that's just how it works.
I love that. Definitely more people need that in this day and age, for sure. We're coming up in a world where, a lot of that stuff where people are just not listening. There's a lot of aggression out there, especially in the younger generation. They haven't had that kind of discipline in some form of way, but just watching your growing up in the world and watching your dad be good to your mom and vice versa, and just adding in true values is something that's definitely needed. So well done in that regard, man. That's awesome. Last thing here is, if you had to sum up Avocado Toast in 1 sentence, what would it be?
I don't know if I could. It's tough.
We had a whole 20-30 minute interview here, so
Exactly. It was a lot more than 1 sentence.
Yeah.
I don't know. Variety. That's just a word. I got words. I can't put them together right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. All is welcome, I guess.
All is well.
Or all are welcome.
Yeah, that's good. No,
Yeah,
I love that.
edit that
yeah,
out.
but that's good. Yeah, all are welcome. I love that. That's great. Well, look, that was amazing. Thank you so much for today, man.
Thanks
I
for
really
coming.
do appreciate it. Today was awesome. To learn about your story, where it all came from, and how you apply your life to Avocado Toast. Just that alone is definitely going to make sure that this place is going to be a success in the future. And of course, with your family and your business, I wish you all the success. That was absolutely brilliant today. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
For sure.
Thank you.